because I fast. For whatever reason, I do not know, but this is the practicality of the whole thing. Okay, don't always assume that you can twist God's arm by fasting. It doesn't work. Okay. There are many Christians who fasted for different reasons. Fasting for money was one that cropped out this year. Somebody said, if you have no money, you don't need to ask for money. Just go on a fast, and somebody will knock on the door of your office and give you money. I'm not sure of that one, but this is their belief. And so churches have often fasted if they need money for the land, for the land building, to build a church. They sometimes go on a fast so they can have enough money to buy the property. I think fasting is the reason for fasting is really many. You can fast for forgiveness of sin. You can fast for the studies of your kids. You can fast for 1,001 other reasons I can never think of. Okay, that you yourself personally know. You may fast for deliverance of casting out demons. The demon refuse to go out, but you may need to fast. Okay, let's look at a few more verses with regards to fasting. This one, Luke 4:14. I jumped the gun here.
Luke 4:14.
Yeah.
Jesus returned to Galilee in the power of the Spirit, and news about him spread to the whole countryside. Continue?
Yeah.
He was teaching in the synagogues, and everyone praised him. He went to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and on the Sabbath day he went into the synagogue, as was his custom.
Okay. Sorry. Wrong word. Okay. Mark chapter 9 verse 29. Okay, sorry. Scrap the Luke 4:14.
21, is it?
29.
29.
Mark what?
Chapter 9 verse 29. Okay.
He replied, "This kind can come out only by prayer."
Okay. And some versions say prayer and fasting.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're faced with demon-possessed cases, we saw recently twice this last month. So pastor was trying to cast out 2 incidents of demon. The second one actually didn't work. I was with an Indian pastor. His name is Pastor Ravi, and we were trying to cast out some demons. And the second time, the demon, despite the number of pastors trying to cast out demons, didn't really come out. Of course, we were not praying fasting before that event, so this may be one of the contributing factors. So don't touch. You really need to pray and fast. Okay. Ezra chapter 8 verse 21 to 23. Ezra chapter 8. And this last verse 21 to 23.
Ezra, sorry.
Chapter 8.
8 verse
21 to 23.
Okay, verse 21. There by the Ahava canal, I proclaimed a fast so that we might humble ourselves before our God and ask Him for a safe journey for us and our children with all our possession. I was ashamed to ask the king for soldiers and horsemen to protect us from enemies on the road, because we had told the king, "The gracious hand of God is on everyone who looks to Him, but His great anger is against all who possess Him." So we fasted and petitioned our God about this, and He answered our prayer. Then I set apart 12 of the leading priests, namely Sherebiah, Hashabiah, and 10 of their brothers. And I weighed out to them the offering of silver and gold and the articles that the king, his advisors, his officials, and all Israel present that had donated for the house of our God. Continue.
Okay, we can stop here. Alright, so if you are journeying, and there was another verse that I did share long ago, that's important to fast as you take for the people on the road, but there's another verse on that. Offhand. But this is a case where let's say you are traveling long distances. Okay, let me put it this way. In Singapore, the roads are wonderfully nice, and in China, the roads are super big. But I recently went to Indonesia, and we had 2 hours of road where the car went, and at the end of the day, the tire was punctured. Straight, nice tire went kaput, and we had to repair the tire. So depending on where you are, the roads are winding and bumpy at the same time, and the roads can be very narrow. In Indonesia, you're not talking about Africa here, which could be even worse. Sometimes people do fast for journey mercies, especially traveling around certain Philippines, Indonesia, Africa, because it is dangerous. The distance between falling over a cliff is often just less than 3 or 4 inches in a car. So this is one. The Singaporeans have never had this concept of fasting for journey mercies, but when you go overseas, you will. Some countries you will find that, please God, please protect this car even as you travel from location A to location B. Seriously, it's a very good habit there, especially if you're going on long mission trips, 6 hours drive and going through funny thing. Okay, I'm going to read the last verse, Acts 13, verse 1 to 3. Would somebody here like to read this among the three of you? One. Sister Carol.
13.
Verses 1 to 3.
In the church at Antioch, there were prophets and teachers, governors, some men called Niger, Lucius of Cyrene, Manan, who had been brought up with Herod the Rashid and Saul. While they were worshipping the Lord and fasting, the Holy Spirit said, "Set apart for me Barnabas and Saul for the work to which I've called them." So after they have fasted and prayed, they laid their hands on them and sent them off.
Okay. I guess this is missions work, but I would also say it applies to trying to get divine guidance and direction for important things in your life. I think it will also work. It doesn't necessarily have to be just pure missions. This is my personal view. Okay, I mean, the theology of it may be questionable, but this is my view that if you have a very important decision to make, it's good to pray about it. It's good to even sometimes consider fasting for it. It doesn't have to be full fast, because here never ever say it's a full fast, partial fast, or fasting or coffee. But for the more modern day, I do suggest fasting or handphone. This will be very fun to do. It's more effective than fasting of coffee, I'm sure. So this is the last thing that is seriously, for any form of guidance, can consider fasting and praying, not just praying. Okay, that's it about not enough food. Is actually talking about fasting rather than I really don't have enough food to eat.